Greetings, my name is Slight, and welcome to a playthrough of the wonderful solo game, Witchcraft. We are going to be doing an advanced guide on this wonderful solo game, very difficult solo game, which is why I get interested in doing sort of this advanced guide. I'm going to assume a couple things about your knowledge about this game. Because this is for more of an advanced playthrough, I'm going to kind of assume you understand how the game works. That being said, I will cover some of the basics so that you can follow along if you've never played before. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started with our setup. So, first things first, we need to figure out which jurors that we are fighting against. All right. Cornelius, Elizabeth, and Ichabod. All right. Perfect. Let's go ahead and get their missions. All right. And their challenge cards. Okay, so first things first, when you are playing an advanced mission or against the harder challenge, normally you would start at the 1 persuasion on each of your jurors, but we are going to start at 0, and that actually ends up being a big difference. The game is balanced around these very specific numbers of persuasion that you can get for completing missions. And so getting that 1 extra on an average game ends up being quite a challenge, especially to get a true win, but that is what we will be going for. Now, what I suggest if you are trying to get a high-level play of Witchcraft completed is to take a second before you build out your full challenge deck, before you start building out your mission deck and setting everything up, is just familiarize yourself with what these challenges are going to be and start thinking about what types of witches are going to be best suited for this particular run. So, let's do that now. All right? So, investigate strange lights at the church. That is 3 challenge cards and 4 base challenge. It has a failure condition, which isn't too bad. This one looks like a pretty easy one to take on early. So if I get a bad draw, I can take that on. Here we get into something that's a bit more interesting. We've got 4 challenge cards, 5 base difficulty. If we succeed, for each challenge remaining, lose a village card. This one can be very tricky. It has a decent amount of base challenge, right? It's one of those ones that punishes you very heavily if you skip a bunch of the challenge cards on it, which is normally a really good strategy for getting higher. So seeing this early would be really difficult for us. We may have to reveal quite a lot of witches to actually overcome all the challenges, but maybe we'll get lucky and this one actually won't be a big issue. So I'll go ahead and set that into the level 2, Act 2 missions. And then banish the Banshee at the Old Crypt. When this is not chosen, do not include hidden witches when totaling your power. So one thing that I notice oftentimes is a lot of the text here on these Act 3 ones is not chosen, lose the game, basically. Or essentially significantly hamper your ability to actually achieve a true win. It is often very difficult to not choose the Act 3. And one of the shapes, kind of the shape of the game often is you play like 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds, all right? And in that, you'll complete a variety of Act 1 and Act 2 missions, usually kind of based on what you draw. And then what I usually see is I have to play all 3 of the Act 3s back to back because if I do not choose them, I essentially am saying, hey, I'm not going to have any chance at actually a true win, right? And that's, this text here is almost like that. Now, what I will say is the Banshee is a little bit better than most of these not chosens, because what it's really saying is, hey, if you go to another mission and you just reveal all your witches, then you can actually do that with pretty much no penalty. And that is far superior to some of the Act 3 bosses. That being said, 6 base difficulty and 5 challenge cards make her a pretty sizable threat. All right, let's look at Cornelius. Let's take a look at the Act 1. Another relatively easy one. I really do like to see these low challenge ones. This one's a bit more unknown, right? We have a lower base challenge than the Strange Lights, but we have more challenge missions. That could end up meaning that this is really requires 3 to 5 more of a challenge rating to overcome. So that being said, still not a super difficult one. Happy to have these options early in the game. We've got Save the Baby in the Nursery. I love the art on this one. It's so creepy with the little creepy guy in the back shadow there. Love that. This one is, when you fail in Act 2, especially if it's the first or second one you draw, and it says something like you must go to trial this round, again, the text really, there's not a lot of nuance to that. It's basically well, you're not going to win, right? So this really says you cannot fail this mission. That being said, with 5 challenge cards and 4 base difficulty, I would say that it is harder than the Destroy the Skeleton in the Cemetery, but we have that ability to skip over challenge cards and really play to what our deck's strengths are. So I'd say that's not too bad of a mission there. Drive Bobos into the light. If it's not chosen, exile Elizabeth and discard her conviction cards, and you cannot persuade her. So the only time I would ever do this is if I already knew that I was only ever going to be able to get only ever going to be able to convince 2 jurors because the game was going quite poorly. That may happen. And in that case, not choosing this and being able to succeed on another mission isn't the worst thing ever. Sometimes you're just playing to not be guilty, right? But that is not ideal. Really, the text on this for me when I'm playing is, you lose. You don't get the win, right? Next up, we've got Ichabod. Ichabod here has probably our most difficult initial challenge, initial mission here, but it has a positive success. One thing you'll notice is that if something has a positive success, then the actual challenge is much higher. So one of the nice things about having this spread here, thing I noticed is I've got a relatively easy one if I could draw poorly, and I've got a hard one if I draw really well early game, that I can actually use to discard a mission, discard a challenge from another mission. And I'm already starting to see some ideal pathways through the game where I take on one of these easier missions, I get one of these Act 2s, I hopefully protect the children at the school, and then discard a challenge from one of these harder Act 2 missions. Now I'm set up to be able to take that on. These are the kind of things that I'm thinking of as I'm going through these one at a time. Next up, we've got Destroy the Lost Soldier Camp at the Old Battlefield. This one's pretty tough. 5 base and 4 challenge cards. Each challenge on this mission gets +1 difficulty. This is one where discarding challenges is really, really effective, because not only do you discard that challenge, but you discard the essentially one fourth of the actual mission's negative effect. So this is making me think that the Tankreds are going to be better this round. So that is something that's on my mind. So I'll go ahead and put that in the Act 2 slot. And then we've got the Horseman at the Covered Bridge, one of the highest base difficulties in the game, but only 4 challenge cards. This is not chosen, exile a hidden witch or witch in your hand. This can sometimes be managed. I'm pretty happy with the selection here. So sometimes you would play a hidden witch, and then intentionally choose this to have that exiled. So if you're not worried about that hidden witch being like exiled this turn, you can kind of play that, choose a different one. It actually gives you some flexibility. So overall, I feel like we got a pretty good spread here, and I feel like I have a good sense of what the missions are going to be. Let's take a look at the challenge cards. So skeletons are the special challenge card for Cornelius. When you choose a mission, you cannot overcome the mission while it has skeletons, and +1 difficulty for each hidden witch in play. So immediately that means playing this sort of long game is much harder against Cornelius, because every time skeletons come out, if I'm trying to like combo a bunch of hidden witches together, these things just skyrocket in their challenge rating. Now, that can be managed by discarding them. That way I don't actually have to overcome their text here. All right? So again, Tancrids are coming out as something that might be useful. Discarding this gives me that flexibility to still play hidden witches. All right? And then we've got the black cat here, which is +1 power for each revealed witch. We can see how that synergizes, right? And actually not too difficult to capture. Probably one of my favorite familiars in the game. Elizabeth, oh, she is so mean. The Duendes, decrease the persuasion of all jurors by 1. That is an incredibly brutal failure effect. I don't think that you can win if a second one of these happens in the challenge, in the advanced version of the game. So Duendes are not what I'd like to see. Their difficulty is still relatively high. They don't go up to 5, right? But 2, 3, 4 is still quite high. And the lapdog here is a little bit too finicky to make work often. It's 3 challenge to overcome, which is a lot of extra challenge to be putting forth. But if you overcome a mission without any revealed witches, increase the persuasion of all jurors by 1, this is going to be really challenging to actually occur, especially with Cornelius in the game. This feels like the nice thing about the lapdog is that it won't be something that I have to overcome, right? But I'll be very surprised if I actually want the lapdog or I go for it. Next up is Lost Soldiers. All right. This says exile a random hidden witch if it's failed. Place the Lost Soldiers on top of the challenge deck. Again, attacking our hidden witches. So also, another problem with these is that they keep coming back, right? Now notice that this scaling is a little different. We don't have a 2, 3, 4. We have a 3, 3, 4. So the average challenge difficulty of these is a little higher. And they have this sort of like comeback thing, which makes the Haze family a little bit better. If this ends up being failed, we exile a random hidden witch and we put this back on top of the deck. We might be able to use Haze to kind of throw these out of the top of that challenge deck. That being said, I don't think that's the most winning strategy, but it's something that I'll be keeping in mind. We've got the Raven familiar here, 2 challenge rating to overcome. When a witch would be exiled, you may exile the Raven to place the witch in the Coven discard pile instead. I would say this is okay. It's really kind of like, I'd be happy to have that, but I'm not going to really aim for it. Whereas like the black cat here is something I would aim for. The value here is really high. The value here is a little less impressive. So I'll take it, but I'm not excited about it. So that covers our review. I really highly recommend you doing that. One thing to take a look at, and one thing that I would say that if you're gonna be playing the advanced version, you probably really need to know, is the distribution of these cards in the deck. Okay? Boom, boom, boom. 6 and 1. So, am I missing one? So understanding the distribution of this, I think, is really important. We've got 1, 1, 2 2s, 3 3s, 3 4s, 2 5s, 1 6. Oh, this makes sense now that I see it now. That means that the average persuasion that I will need to meet or beat is 7, right? But having a full sense of this spread really is important for the millers so that you can understand how to use the miller's complex abilities correctly. I would say that the same information is very important for the villagers deck. Let me get these pulled out. All right, so we can see that we have kind of this similar bell curve here as we did with the conviction cards. We've got one really bad, one really good, one really good, right? Actually, we'll talk about this in a second. But it looks like your kind of average is 1.5 villagers per flip. And so that's a key thing to know, right? So once you've drawn 1-3, then you could be one card away from losing the game. And there's a pretty good chance of that. You've got a 3, and now you have around like a 3 out of 7 chance to lose on your next villagers card. That really shifts the landscape if you draw this 3 early. And if you get this 2 out, right, losing a villager's card, there, you know, there's a 1 in 7 or 1 in 8 chance here. 1 in 7 chance to lose if you already have 2 villagers and you flip 1 more. And sometimes you just lose. Sometimes you play well and you still lose even with that. But having an understanding of that distribution is, I think, key. So I think we've done a good job kind of going over the unique shape of what this run's going to look like. I highly recommend doing that if you're looking to try to win more consistently in your games of Witchcraft. And it's fun. It's fun to sort of think about and start planning what you would want to do, right? That's really one of the things I enjoy so much about this game. So with that being said, I'm going to get set up and then we're going to move to the draft. Okay, let's get started on the draft. I think the draft is probably one of the most important and probably the most fun parts of Witchcraft for me. I love drafting, and having a deeper sense of the actual, sort of landscape of the missions we're going to fight, the challenge cards we're going to fight, has really prepared me to be able to draft thoughtfully as I move into the draft phase, right? So let's go ahead and do that now. So first options are Mercy Lily and Elsie Sullivan. Now, this is more of an over-explain, so there's a lot to talk about as far as like which to choose and why. Elsie Sullivan is just sort of a power stick for Sullivan synergy. This is something that if I take now, I would be basically promising myself that I would be taking a lot more Sullivans. Maybe not all of them, because Sullivans have a way to find more Sullivans, which is very unique to their family. But I really like Mercy Lily's revealed effect here. For each Lily in play, including Mercy, draw 1 card from the recruit deck, choose 1 to put in your hand, and shuffle the others back into the recruit deck. This is so valuable because we're playing against, I think it is Cornelius here, and Ichabod, who both punish hidden witches. Lily is what this says is, get 1 power for free, get a recruit card directly into your hand that you could play right now. Now, that is a random card, but on average, you're looking at least 1 or 2 power level, and it could really shake up the position. So Mercy Lily, even if we don't go further into the lilies, is something that I think is really strong, and a 2 base power for hidden is something that'll get you through the early game, and actually can help overcome challenges that you might want to succeed on, as opposed to a discarding effect. So this goes into the recruit deck, which I'll put over here. And Mercy Lily is our first witch in our coven. So next up, we've got Jocelyn Hayes versus Sabrina Lily. Sabrina Lily does a similar effect. For each revealed Lily, search the jail pile and choose a witch to place on top of the coven deck. Now, this is not nearly as good as Mercy Lily's effect because it goes on the coven deck as opposed to into our hand. And that actually means that this gives me 1 power and gives me longevity, but it doesn't necessarily solve problems. which is critical. Now, playing these in conjunction can be really strong, because then I can look at, well, the first one I play will only draw one card, but then the second one I play will draw two cards because of the way that the resolution of them would work. So let's say I played Lily first, I would get someone out of jail, and then I could play Mercy Lily, and then I could look at two recruits and kind of pick the best one. So that is pretty strong. That being said, Jocelyn Hayes here says draw 3 cards from the challenge deck, choose any number to discard, and place the remaining back on. For 2 power, notice that Jocelyn Hayes here is just straight up better than the hidden effect of both Mercy and Sabrina Lily. And her reveal is uncover all challenges and then discard one of the challenges. That is an extremely powerful effect. I think the base power level of Jocelyn is just really high. Now, we see that often with these families that don't have as much synergy, right? So it would make sense that Jocelyn Hayes has a more high threshold for her base effect. But the question here is, do I want a average card power level to be higher, or do I want to move into the Lily synergy? I would say that's a really tough decision. Why is that? Because we have these two Ichabod and Cornelius. They bring in things that attack our hidden witches, which is usually our way to stay in the game longer. The lilies are that other way to sort of combat that. They get more things in your hand, into your deck. They add stuff into your effect, into your coven, which can be critical in the war. This is essentially a game of attrition, right? Against all of these challenges that are coming. And if you don't have a steady stream of stuff coming in, then you can get into a position where you really can't fight that third Act 3 boss, and you have to reveal right then, which can be really bad, right? So this is already a really tough challenge, and one that's happening really early on, because I'm basically saying, hey, this card is better, but this card may have more synergy. That being said, I think Sabrina Lily is probably one of the weaker ones. The nice thing about Sabrina is you can get multiple witches out of the jail pile, and then you're guaranteed to draw them. So I think I'm going to lean towards synergy here. And then I hate to see Jocelyn Hayes go, but she's gone. Next. Okay, so we've got, another really tough choice. Really tough choice. Okay, so the Millers are a nice pick when Elizabeth is in the game, because Elizabeth brings the duendes, and they are constantly messing with the persuasion of your jurors. And the Millers are a great way to sort of war game and see what kind of persuasion you need. Now, the Millers are cool. Like, thematically, there are 3 triplets. They all look identical triplets. And they are highly synergistic, right? Even more so than most cards. The tough thing here is that Catherine Kent is just a really strong power level card. So she can be revealed early in the game for 6 power, which is really, really useful. Sometimes she can just fully win a mission by herself without you really needing anyone else. So the question here is, do we want a high power level card, or do we need to build this synergistic process with the Millers? And I do really like the Millers a lot. I really don't see our curses being a huge issue. And oftentimes that actually makes me think Kents are better, because then the Kents can really clean all of the curses out of your deck really effectively. Really, really tough. Really tough. I think I'm leaning toward Millers, especially because this is an advanced guide and I'd like to show off exactly kind of what the Millers can do. But the tough thing is, it's not a guarantee that I win this. I probably only win 30 to 40% of the time when I do the hard version of this game. So I have to play optimally here. And I've already had two really tough choices. The tough thing here is that if I go hard into synergy all the time, what you end up with is a position where you like don't draw all of your synergistic cards at the same time. And because you don't have baseline high power cards to fill in the gaps, then you end up in this tough position. I think I'm going to go with Kent here. Despite I really wanting the Millers, Kent is just too strong. This is the perfect example is here. Hey, I'm not ready to reveal these lilies. It's too early. But I could reveal Catherine Kent, right? Get 6 power level early in the game, and that's going to let me move in further, and it actually removes a card that doesn't need synergy with the other cards, meaning that in the future, my draws are more likely to be synergistic. Okay, got it. So if you're going to take the Michelle Sullivan, I think is pretty good baseline, all right? Discarding a challenge from any one mission actually means that she kind of can have a power level of like, 4 to 5 sometimes, just baseline, which is very flexible. And she has this sort of like hyper-powered like Sullivan synergy, right? If you have 4 more Sullivans, including Michelle, which means you really only need 3 other Sullivans, then you can exile a conviction card from a juror. I really love the Sullivan plus Miller combo because you get all this information about the conviction cards, and then you have this sort of Sullivan. If you ever trigger this, it's super powerful with the Millers in play because you can get rid of that like 6 conviction card, and then you can really plan out how your persuasion is going to go across the board. That being said, Hannah Miller is probably the best, just like if you're going to pick one. She's self-synergistic, right? You play her for her hidden maybe once or twice. You uncover 2 conviction cards, and then you can reveal her to swap them if you need to. So she's a very good kind of, if you're just going to take one Miller. So I think I will take Hannah Miller here. She is low power level, and I think I can overcome that deficit. All right, we've got Adelaide Miller and Marie Tancred. So this is kind of a tough choice because neither of these are super powerful. Adelaide Miller says, move a face-down conviction card on a juror to the bottom of the conviction deck. All right, so what you're just basically saying, hey, like Adelaide Miller is really good when you start having a good sense of what conviction cards are already out there. You can start thinking about like, okay, I know the distribution of conviction cards. I can just get rid of this one face down, even though I don't know what it is, and on average, that might be better for me, right? But you have to have a face-up conviction card. I think I got a little confused there. So you're actually replacing it with a face-up card. So if I've got like a 2 sitting here, face-up, and I've got like a 3 here, or I've got just a random face-down card, then replacing that, knowing that this is a 2, can be really strong. Adelaide Miller really feels like I need to go all in on Millers. But at the same time, Marie Tancred is not someone I'm super interested in as my first Tancred. I would be more happy to pick her later. That being said, we do know we have this really difficult Skeletons mission coming up. And I could reveal her to ignore the effect of that mission, which might be quite strong. Yeah, happy with Tancred here. Adelaide, not what I'm going for. Yeah, hold on. Let me think for one more second. Yeah. I think that's the play. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, so we've got another kind of tough choice here. We've kind of said, hey, you know what? Lily synergy is important to us. But again, we're up against a bombshell card. Carol Sullivan is a really, really good just to have in your deck. To reveal her for 3, to get a witch out of the jail pile and put it on top of the Coven deck is really strong because it's 3 power and this really good effect for the longevity of your game. That being said, Eleanor Lilly here says, for each Lily, draw 1 from the Coven deck, choose 1, and shuffle the others back in. So at base, you can always play Eleanor Lilly just to cycle herself. She doesn't gain any power that way, but she cycles. And then she has a relatively strong reveal effect that doesn't add much power. I think it would be nice if this did at least 1 power on the reveal. But you just take 2 cards from the recruit deck and place them on top of the Coven pile. Now, that might not seem as strong as it is, but the reason that is pretty strong is because you now know your top 2 cards to draw from the Coven are witches. They're not curses, right? So as you get later in the game, it can be very worrisome as to whether you go into that final mission if your draw ends up having like a heavy hand of curses. Like you may only have like 6 or 7 cards left, right? And 3 of them are curses. And if you like drew all 3 curses, you would probably lose, right? And so this idea of putting them on top of the Coven deck actually ends up being quite strong. So I've kind of made my decision to go into the Lily synergy, so I'm just going to go for that. I hate to leave Carol Sullivan, and that may come back to bite us, so we'll see how that goes. All right, perfect. We've got some pretty easy choices here. Maybe not quite as easy. Liliana Sullivan is a great one Sullivan wonder, right? Because if you can get away with it, you can place her for her hidden effect that gives no power level, but you get to get a Sullivan out of the recruit deck and put it on top of the Coven deck, and you get to pick. So if you just take 1 Sullivan, then you can say which Sullivan is best for this next mission I'm going to do, right? And then you can just get that out of there. That actually ends up being pretty strong, has pretty good synergy. That being said, I do think going into this Tancred route is going to be really strong for us to sort of discard the Duendes, discard the Lost Soldiers, and discard the Skeletons, right, which are going to be tough to overcome. And Norma Tancred is really, really good. Her base power is a lot of information. Uncover all challenges on any one mission. You can play this before you've chosen a mission each round, and that's going to give you a lot of information as to which one you'd like to choose. And then in the late game, if you do like a Tancred synergy, she can discard 2, 3 challenges on a single mission and add 2 power, and that can sometimes win you one of those Act 3 fights. So I think as much as I think Liliana Sullivan's really strong, we're going to go Norma Tancred here. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with this. I think Genevieve Roberts is a pretty weak card overall. I think she's better when you're playing with more curses, but I would say that her power level is still quite weak on average because, like, think about it. Let's say you had Genevieve Roberts and 4 curses. She would be 2 plus 8, so she's 10 power, and that is not enough to make up for the fact that you have 4 curses in your hand. So I think Genevieve Roberts is one of the weaker cards in the game, and so I'm happy to not take her and go for Phyllis Tancred here. 2 power plus upside is above rate, and a 4 flat power, I'm happy. Happy with a 4 flat power. Unfortunate. So, we have a tough choice. So, Pollyanna is our power payoff for the Lilies, and Josephine Tancred is probably one of the best cards in the game. So, we really want both of these, and the gods... the Witchcraft gods here have really pierced my soul having to choose between these 2 cards. Would really love not to have to do this. Why is Lily so good? Because when you look at all of these lilies, oops, get out of here. They're not high power level. You know, we've got this like fine 2 base power, right? But on our synergy turn with lilies, where we might do a lot of reveals for lilies, this is what makes that work. It adds so much power, right? And really allows us to have a really big turn where we gain a lot of longevity and we can actually put up the numbers in the power. But we need Pollyanna to do that. Now, we're also going for this Tancred, and Josephine is the best one, okay? Why is Josephine so good? It's because her baseline is 2 power with upside. Uncover a challenge on any one mission. 2 power with upside's great for a hidden effect. It's this revealed effect. Choose a challenge card on any one mission, discard the challenge, and increase Josephine's power by an amount equal to its unmodified difficulty. that can be literally nuts. If you discard a 4 and gain a 4, that is an 8 power swing. And it is like sometimes even better than that, because discarding a mission can sometimes discarding a challenge card can have a bigger impact than just the like sort of difficulty rating that you would gain from it. So we have a terrible choice. Terrible choice. I think in this case we just have to go for the raw power, right? In the case we want both of them, we just have to pick the card that I think is the most powerful. I really hate to lose the Lily there, but I think it's the right choice. Whoops. Okay. So, all right. This is a relatively tough choice, but out of the gate, I'm going to say that Mary Perrin is the best card in the game. Just hands down. It can be very wise to literally sandbag at least one villager card so that you can play Mary Perrin. Like if you flip a 3, this is a 4 hidden effect, which is extremely strong. And having a villager card flipped is far less negatively impactful than having a curse in my hand, right? Compare that to Genevieve, right? Having that curse in my hand is like a double negative that isn't made up for by the similar stat line between Mary Perrin and Genevieve Roberts. Gwen Hayes is really good. Discard a face-up challenge and then draw a new one. And then this sort of move 1 or 2 face-up challenges for any one mission. Really what this says is might as well be a discard, because what you'll do at the end of the game is you'll choose one of these Act 3 missions. You'll move 2 of their missions over to a mission you're just not going to complete. That you have no plan to complete it, so they just end up hanging out over on some maybe like Act 2 mission that you're not going to complete. And so she ends up basically just getting rid of 2 challenges for you, which is really strong. But I don't think that it's as good as Mary, so we're going to go for Mary. And we've got 2 more choices here. They just can't give it to me easy, can they? They just cannot give it to me easy. Nothing we're playing with really has a lot of like situations where it's going to add a lot of curses to our deck. Charlotte Kent is sort of best when you're playing with Genevieve Roberts. So Jane Kent here is really good. Sometimes she can be a 3 power hidden effect, which is above rate. And sometimes you can get 1 or 2 curses removed from your hand. And that is another way to buff up the other Kent that we took at the beginning of the game, which can be very strong. So like doing a double reveal on these 2 can be a really, really good turn. So I think Jane Kent is just the pick. And then last choice here. So I tend to find Amelia Stevens to be pretty underpowered. Like it's very tough to get familiars in the game. And while I will say Amelia Stevens is better with Tankreds, because you can take a look at the challenges that are out there, and then use that to sort of find a familiar and capture it with her hidden effect. And if you can do that, it's very strong. But I end up seeing like that like this sort of revealed effect is I almost always end up doing it for 3, maybe 5, but it ends up being like a 3 power because I like have to early in the game. And while Liz Sullivan doesn't seem very nice, she does have 4 flat power on her reveal. And she has this ability to sort of reorder the top of the Coven deck if you'd like to. That can sometimes be useful for Eleanor Lilly here. Like I can play Liz and then play Eleanor, and then I can sort of, instead of looking at just 1 card, I can look at 3 cards essentially. So Amelia Stevens, I think, is probably not worth it. If like all 3 of the familiars were really high power level, I would be a little bit more interested in Amelia Stevens, but I find that she's a little bit weak. So that was a fun and difficult draft. I feel excited to play the game, so I'm going to do a little shuffling here, and then we'll get started. right, let's take a look. So we've got Eleanor, Mercy, one curse, Marie, and Sabrina Lily. So we've got a triple Lily synergy already here. Marie Tinker is quite weak here, probably just 2 power. So baseline power, I'm looking at 6, plus whatever Eleanor pulls for us. That doesn't seem super high. Definitely don't feel strong enough to go to protect our children at the school, as that is a higher power level mission. But I don't explicitly feel weak to, like, kind of trying to decide between these two here. None of the ones I have here are super high power level. So one of the main things that I notice is that I don't have a lot of ways that I can reveal cards to fix a bad challenge reveal. So what I'm going to do is I'm hoping to kind of do something like this, where all these get revealed. So I'm going to take the easiest challenge. So we're going to choose this mission. All right, not bad. So we're going to gain a curse here. We would decrease Elizabeth's persuasion, and we have to do this. So base power level is 5. Ideal is 10. Right now we're sitting at 6. If I go ahead and play both of these 2 mercy cards, that puts me at 4. Gaining a curse isn't too bad. I do not want to lose any persuasion. I'd really ideally like to be a 7. I wouldn't mind gaining a curse. And right now I'm at 6, so 7 seems pretty achievable. So what I'm going to do is play Mercy, then Sabrina, putting my power level at 4. Then I'm going to play Eleanor Lily for her hidden effect. And I can draw 3 cards. Kent here is pretty good. No Tancred. I was hoping maybe for a Tancred. So I got Mary Perrin and Catherine Kent in our curse. Well, I think Catherine Kent here looks pretty nice. I know that Marie Tancred's going to be a hidden effect. So maybe we just go here. We'll play Catherine Kent. These ones get shuffled back in very specifically. All right. And then we do have this curse in our hand. So for each Kent in play, discard a curse and draw a card to replace it. We got Jane Kent. Interesting. So now I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And because we have no curses in our hand, Jane Kent gets played. 1, 2, 3. That brings us up to 10. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're able to fully clear. That is awesome. Don't always get that. That was a nice draw. Okay. So we've got our 10. We've resolved all the effects here. And so the whippoorwill's done. We do not gain a curse as that's completed. We get to uncover one of Elizabeth's challenge cards. So I usually do a 2. Nice, that's good to know. All right, that's done. And then we will complete this challenge, or complete this mission, excuse me. So I've got these off camera, but that's completed. All of these, we managed not to have to reveal a single witch, which is wonderful. That's what you want from your first mission, if in an ideal world, but that's not always what you get. We are obviously not going to go to trial. Let's draw the next. Oh, excuse me. And let's gain our persuasion. So I will do the 2 persuasion for Cornelius as opposed to the 1 for one of the others. 1, 2. So that is putting us at 2 for Cornelius. One challenge done. Let's draw the next one. And we've got the destroy the lost soldier camp at the battlefield. So this is one of the tough ones, right? Each challenge on this mission gets +1 difficulty. So all of these end up being 1 stronger. And now I know that I just had Marie Tancred. She's the one who could ignore this mission effect, and essentially that would just add 4 power, because she would be able to essentially remove the +1 difficulty to all of them. It may not be 4 power, it would depend, right? But sort of the maximum value she could recoup for us is 4 there. So this one seems like one I might have to wait on. We'll draw our 5 cards, and hopefully we will just have 1 curse, not 2. We did get the double curse, so we might have a little bit of a tough round here. Let's see what we're working with. So we've got 2 curses: Hannah Miller, Norma Tancred, and Josephine Tancred. Ooh, tricky and tough. Not ideal. So Hannah Miller, we pretty much know we have to reveal as her hidden effect, because her revealed effect is not helpful. Swap a face-up conviction card on any juror with a face-up conviction card of another. The 1 power level here would be something that I'd really have to need. Now, Josephine and Tancred, Josephine and Norma here are a really good 1-2 punch. I can essentially discard 1, then 2, 3 challenges on a mission, and then I would gain some amount of power for whichever one that Josephine discarded, and I'd gain 2 here. So it's conceivable if I discard a 4, that I would have 4, 5, 6, 7 power, and I would have discarded 3 missions. So a little bit unfortunate that we might have to do this early on, but when you draw the double curse like this, that's what happens. And we had a really good round last round, so having a little bit of worse luck here is the way that it goes. Now, there's a part of me that, because there's this likely chance that I'll be revealing, I may want to take on a slightly harder challenge to get a benefit for losing 2 very powerful witches here. So I'm actually going to go to protect our children at the school. This is the second most difficult mission that's on the table right now, but I think that this is sort of the best approach for me. So let's do that. So we've got a whippoorwill, the plague rats, another whippoorwill, and an evil witch. And frankly, this is really not too bad. And there's actually a case to be made. I have yet. Have I seen? No. So here's. I got thoughts. 4, 5, 6, 7 baseline to pass. Okay, I need 7. Now, failing the plague rats here actually could be good, because I know that I still have Mary Perrin in this deck, and she will get buffed by the fact that the villager card gets flipped. And so, do I have Mary? Let me just make double sure. Nope, I haven't seen her yet. And I know all 3 of these cards here that are left, none of them are curses. So I'm actually setting myself up for quite a strong turn next turn if I don't do this plague rats. So let's do a little calculation here. If I discard this, then I have 4, 5, 6. That is not enough to overcome. So what that means is I'm going to have to reveal Norma as well. And so then I would have 4, 5, 6, 7. And we would end up discarding both of these. And then I would be able to actually not do the plague rats. Meaning I could discard the plague rats. Sorry, I didn't speak very clearly there. That doesn't seem ideal. Am I missing something? Let me just think one more second. 4. So another option we have is we can hold on to Norma, right? And we can actually do this reveal. So we would have 4 from the Evil Witch, 5, 6, but we would gain no effect, 7, and we could uncover all challenges on another mission. We'd flip the Plague Rats, and we would discard a challenge from another mission. I really like that. We end up wasting Hannah, not getting a good use out of her, but that 1 power level makes a huge difference, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to discard this challenge. We're going to gain 4 power. Now we have 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's go ahead and uncover all the challenges on one mission. Obviously, the best one to do here is the soldier camp here. Oh wow, check it out. Those are not exactly the familiars that I wanted. It's actually a relatively easy fight. It's only 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 base level to do all negative impacts, right? So that's good to know. So we have our 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3. And then the rest will go to completing this. So we've completed the mission and we've failed this Plague Rats. So we'll reveal a Villager's card. We get the 2. All right, so now we're looking at a 1 in 7 to lose on our next Villager pull. That's not bad. I can accept that. Now, that's resolved. Now we get to discard a challenge from any other mission. The fact that this is so weak makes me, I mean, maybe the nice thing here is you just get rid of the skeletons. You've got an easy mission whenever you need it, right? I think that's the play. We're just going to discard these skeletons here. Both Josephine and Miller are going to jail. What can you do? Sometimes you go to jail. So that's the jail there. And then Norma we get to keep. And Norma's so strong that I feel really, really good about that. So discard pile, jail, and then recruit deck. Obviously, this takes up a bit of space, so I'm trying to space it out. So what can you do? All right. So let's gain our persuasion. 1, 2. That's complete. Draw the next mission. Save the baby in the nursery. All right, that's 5 challenge cards. All right. And if we have a big turn here, maybe we can go here. If we have a weak turn, we can go to, interestingly enough, we can take on the Lost Soldier Camp, the old battlefield. And we've still got this guy floating around, which is probably not a big issue. It is nice to know that these 2 familiars are out there. You know, it's conceivable that, you know, we do go here and we like try to, like you might be able to do a lapdog. Like I actually could create a situation where we do the lapdog. What's interesting to me is I'm curious as to, I don't play with the lapdog too often. I wonder if I get this effect at the moment that I succeed. I need to look that up. Yeah, so based on the rules, if a challenge is familiar, place it in your play area. Then the next step would be overcome the mission. So that's actually better than I realized for the lapdog. It's conceivable that if we beat this and we get the lapdog at the same time with only hidden witches, we would actually be able to increase the persuasion of all jurors by 1. So that is a target for us. So let's go ahead on to the next one. I'm not going to trial. 1, 2, 3. No curses. Ah, dang, we got a curse. Okay. But this is all playing into our strategy. We've got Liz Sullivan here, who's just a stat stick. We've got Mary Perrin, who is a baseline power of 3 at hidden now because of how we played the last mission. Phyllis Tancred here, a good power level, level 2. We've got a curse. Ooh, and then Jane Kent here, who we could reveal her to remove this curse from our deck, which might actually be worth doing. That puts us at, you know, I'm not as interested in saving Sullivan here. I don't see a really big benefit. So I kind of am looking at like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is kind of the power level I'm playing with. Maybe the idea here is you just take, you just go for this, because this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to cover this. We could take the risk on the Plague Rats, flip another Villager's card, 1 in 7 chance of losing outright, but that would actually immediately power up Mary during that mission. So that, because you can actually lose this to power up Mary to overcome the mission. I have had to do that in the past. I kind of like that. It's a little too good to pass up, right? Okay, so I don't think that I really care too much about discarding this curse. I feel like I have a lot of opportunities to do that in the future. We'll do a reveal on Liz Sullivan, kind of cash in that 4 power. That's very strong. And just to make sure I'm doing this right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. We're going to choose this mission. Once we've chosen it, each challenge gets +1 difficulty. So that's 5 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I knew I was missing something. That's an easy switch. We'll just make Kent revealed. We'll go ahead and get rid of this curse permanently from our deck, thin our deck out a little bit, which is nice. And we meet that 11. Of course. No. Hold on. I'm being silly. The whole point of this is that the only way this works is if we only have hidden cards, right? Yeah. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is currently not enough. The only way we could actually do this is if we flip up a villager's card and it's 2 villagers, right? Because that would put us to 9, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if we wanted to take on the Lost Soldier Camp, the way that we would do it is we would play this. We would have to hope that the Plague Rats is flipping a 2 villagers, and if it does, then we would actually be able to beat the Lapdog and the mission without revealing anything. I don't think that that's going to work. I don't think that's a good move. I think that's a little too risky. There is a 2 in 7 chance of that going well. So let's do something else. I do feel like I've got a decent power level here. Mary could be 6 power if needed. But I think we could probably skate by. The tough thing here is that, let's say I choose this mission here. This is a pretty easy mission, right? But it's actually only 2 persuasion. And if I have to reveal anything, that isn't necessarily the best deal. It may be better to reveal more things and complete a more challenging mission to get the actual persuasion to do so. I do have this Phyllis Tancred here, which is a synergy card that I'd be less interested in getting rid of. But other than that, Liz, Kent, and Perrin are all sort of one-offs. And so, losing those cards to a reveal is actually not too bad. A little bit of a tough choice here. I'm going to go ahead and do Save the Baby in the Nursery. This is a bit of a risky play, though. We'll see how it goes. So we've got the Wild Boar, Lost Soldiers at 3, Plague Rats at 3, Lost Soldiers at 3, and a Possessed. Oof, that is pretty strong. Especially because, so kind of what's my baseline here? I could flip a Plague Rats. I could skip that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Really 13 would be where I'd feel the best, but I don't think I can really get there. So that's 10. Oh, that's 13 right there, right? This is part of why Mary Perrin is so good. 6, 10, 11, 12, 13. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I would flip the Plague Rats and I'd have a 1 in 7 chance of losing. I get to uncover a mission, right? Revealing Kent doesn't do much for me here. It's a little bit of an unknown. I think this is the best play. I think a 1 in 7 is okay. I think I can take that to the bank. And being able to succeed on the possessed is always super important to me. So let's do it. I'm going to uncover a challenge on any one mission. Let's do this one. Okay, little angry mob there. That's resolved. Now let's start knocking this stuff out. So we've got a total of 13. So minus 7 is 6 remaining. We'll go ahead and resolve this possessed as a success. We get to reveal Ichabod. He's got a 4 there. And then we fail this Plague Rats. All right. So now Mary Perrin is maxed out, okay? She is 10 power, so she gained 4 power there as we lost this Plague Rats, and we get to overcome this mission. We will spend the 4 persuasion on Elizabeth happily. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's completed. Both Mary and Liz go into jail, and we discard these cards to the Coven discard pile. And nice to see that this is an angry mob, not something super scary, something that maybe we can go to later. And let's draw the next challenge. I think this is our last Act 2 challenge. Okay, for each challenge remaining, lose a villager card. So realistically, this is a risky place to go because if I go here and I lose any villager cards, then I hit anything but the 0, which is a 1 in 6, then I'm going to lose. So I have a 5 out of 6 chance to lose if I can't clear all of these challenges for each one. So this one is particularly spooky. And let's see how this goes. Now, ideally, I would have a big Lily turn here. That would just really supercharge me, give me a lot of longevity as I move into the Act 3 fights. Really, I would be really happy with that. I've still got this situation here locked and loaded. If I can meet this lapdog condition, that'd be really strong. So let's see what we get. Norma, Lily, and a curse. Yeah, so this feels like the right time to be revealing a bunch of Lily cards. So the order that I would do that in is Eleanor first. So draw 2 cards from the recruit deck. Don't look at them. Put them on top of the Coven deck. Then Mercy Lily. For each Lily in play, draw 1 card from the recruit deck. Choose 1 to put in my hand. So I would draw 2. I've got Gwen Hayes and Agnes Miller. Gwen Hayes is really, really great for me right now. Very happy with that. Agnes Miller, I mean, we do have 4 power, don't we? So this is move any 2. I'm going to hold on that decision. I'm going to put these 2 here, kind of just hold for a second. And then Lily comes into play, giving us a total of just 2 power. So for each revealed Lily, that's 1, 2, 3, I get people out of jail, and they go on top of the Coven deck. So Mary Perrin is coming out. Not too good. Josephine, and then we'll take the stat stick. So huge Lily turn. This was the main payoff for us going for the Lily synergy, was that turn right there. Okay, so right now I'm sitting with 2 power. I couldn't get a Tancred, and I think we'll end up taking Gwen Hayes here because it's just a little too strong not to go with. And it may end up we never actually end up completing this just because we can't kind of get that sort of only hidden witches vibe. But if there's a possibility, you know, we got to make sure that it's an option. And I'm holding on Norma and Gwen. I think moving 2 challenges is often going to be better than 2 extra power. So, and then we shuffle the recruit deck. And technically, I did that slightly out of order, but I don't think that it had any major impact. It could be that... No. Actually, that had no impact. Yeah. Okay. That's back. So we're sitting with 2 power. We've got 4 more power, a discard, and a 2 moves. So I feel pretty confident in our ability to beat. Because I can I really would only have to overcome 1 mission. This is pretty scary though. The tough thing is, we did this big reveal, we gained all this gas. We got gas for days, right? We are ready to take on these Act 3 challenges. And I'm guaranteed to have 0 curses in my next hand, which is perfect for when we're going to these Act 3 stuff, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we went here, we could get rid of 3 challenges, and we could either fail one, or if one of them was was 1 difficulty, then we could overcome it without an issue. I kind of want to go here because we're going to go through at least 1 shuffle on this challenge deck, and it would be nice to get these familiars back into the challenge deck and have them have a chance of being drawn on one of the Act 3 bosses. So this is 5, 6, 7 currently, which is just out of reach. 1, 2. But, you know, the thing is, we could move some things around, or we could discard the plague rats, right? Yeah, we could do that, right? Kind of tricky. Or we could save Norma, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just move the plague rats over somewhere else, because they're really not a huge issue. I could move them here, and then we'd save Norma for a future reveal, because we still do have quite a bit of Tancrids in the deck, right? We got 1 there. I got some on top of the deck. I think I kind of like that. So we are going to choose the Lost Soldiers. We're going to reveal Gwen Hayes, and we're going to move this Plague Rats here. We are going to, and that puts us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is enough to beat this mission. And then we're going to uncover all the challenges on this mission here. Okay. Pretty challenging mission, if you ask me. All right, nice job, Lilies. You did great. You're all going to jail. All right, Norma, you're still in. Both of these go into here. They have no negative effect. We are able to beat this, so we gain 4 on Ichabod. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's complete. And now we draw the next mission. We are not going to trial, and it is the worst one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we have a absolutely nuts draw here. So let's do it. We are ready for this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think in these 3 there's still 1 curse, right? Yep, 1 curse. Actually, no curses, right? Because we discarded 1. Oh, we have not discarded one. JK. So one of these is still a curse, but none of these should be. So we've got Mary Perrin, Joseph Tancred, Liz Sullivan, Adelaide Miller, and Genevieve Roberts. Okay, Genevieve. Okay, Genevieve. You're not very helpful. So I have to choose this. I don't think there's anything I'd want to do first. Yeah, I think we just go for it. Okay, so we got Plague Rats, Skeletons, Lost Soldiers, Angry Mob, and an Evil Witch. Now, a curse at this point of the game isn't too bad. I do think we'll shuffle one more time, so on the next mission, gain a curse is almost no negative impact, because I actually may not even ever shuffle my discard back into my deck. Good thing to think about, right? There's a point at which a curse is no effect. So minimum to beat is 10. 12, pretty much. 14. These I could take. So 14 is where we're at. So Mary Perrin, that's 10. I could reveal Adelaide to replace this 4 on like, you know, it's not bad. It could be good, it could be not good. It's a wash. Josephine here would discard the Lost Soldiers and get us to 14. Josephine. So let me just calculate this. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 to full complete. Now, that goes up by 1 for each hidden witch I play, and I'm currently at 14. And I need to get to 16. So if I played Genevieve, this would be no impact. But it could... Like, I think keeping Genevieve would be better. Like, just playing her as a 4 reveal is pretty good. Like, here's a good example of why, like, 4 stat stick is not too bad. Because to get the same effect from Genevieve, you have to have a curse in your hand and play her, right? But this is just 4, right? Now, granted, there's higher potential, but this is easier to satisfy and doesn't mean you're down a card, right? This is... I mean, I think it's probably better to just you want to kind of keep some cards, right? So this is a wash. This would be a wash unless I can get lucky and pull a Sullivan, but I don't think I have any Sullivans in my deck. I could do this. That's a wash, and then this. So let's calculate this real quick. 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 versus 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So that would complete. I would keep Liz. I would keep Genevieve. I would resolve both of these. And then I could discard this if I wanted to take the risk, but I think knowing it's a 4 is probably fine enough. All right, we did it. So let's get rid of all of this. All of these were completed. Ball Boss is done. Everyone here goes to jail. We do get to keep some of you guys, though. And 5 persuasion. So here we have our first interesting decision. We know this is a 2, right? If this is a 6, the highest that Elizabeth could go would be an 8, which would mean if we gain 5 on top of 4, we'd be at 9, which means we'd be guaranteed. So the question is it better to put 3 persuasion somewhere else? That's the question. It's a tough call. I know I've got 4 there. On average, this is a 7, so bumping by 3. I think we just take the guarantee. We are pretty well positioned to keep moving forward on these Act 3 fights. So let's keep doing it. That was the hardest one, in my opinion. So we'll just take it. We'll go up to 9. Elizabeth is guaranteed to be good. And we are not going to trial. Okay, 8, 2, 3, 4. All right. Marie Tancred, Catherine Kent. Look, happy to see that. Okay. So we could conceivably not choose this if we were okay with exiling something. Catherine Kent here could cycle because we have this curse, which might not be bad. Do we still have our other Kent? I think we do. We have our other Kent. So we could actually cycle into our Kent, which would be 3 power because we would get this curse out of our hand. But then it makes Genevieve, so I really don't think that's worth it. So like right here, I'm looking at 10 power, which is pretty good. And then I've got 2 Tancreds here to play with for the rest. So I think we're good to go against the Horsemen. Our first Duendes. Ooh, and it's 2 of them. Now, I think we could probably fail 1 Duendes, and especially because we know Elizabeth is safe no matter what, even if we lose 1 persuasion. So right now, minimum to beat this is 8, and 8, probably 10, and we're already covered. I could exile a random Hidden Witch if I needed to. I don't need this Elder Witch, and I could lose this Duendes. So what other options do we have? So I could play Marie Tancred. So this is 4 more power, right? So 10, which would cover that. Then I could add 4 more. And maybe we just lose this Duendes, and we could actually do the Witch Elder as well. I think that's probably the play. So, 3 plus 3 is 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We would lose the persuasion of all jurors by 1, but we would gain 5 here. We know Elizabeth is safe. We actually got value out of Kent and Genevieve Roberts, and we are keeping the Tancred synergy alive, which gives us more long-term stay. We may actually be able to go 1 more round than we would otherwise. We do lose a persuasion, but I actually think that it's worth it. And we get to uncover all of these challenges. So I think we're going to do that. So let's go ahead and see what's here. Okay, that gives us some information. Not the most difficult challenge there. That does mean that these last missions have had pretty heavy hitters as far as the difficulty of the challenge cards. A lot of small, like little ones are here, right? Okay, so let's fail this first. Go down 1. And then we'll beat both of these. We will recruit a witch. That goes into our discard pile. And we got Liliana Sullivan, which is one of the weaker ones. Genevieve and Catherine are going to jail. And we've got the Tancreds in our hearts and minds. 5 persuasion to Ichabod here. 2, 3, 4, 5, and he's at 10. That actually means he's safe, because if this is a 6, that actually means he's good. And we've faced down the horseman at the covered bridge. All right, the last challenge is revealed. We're not going to trial yet. Banish the Banshee. We've got 2 things here. Now, if I was an absolute boss gamer, I would know what these last 2 are, but I'm not sure. You know, maybe like, are there some that I haven't seen? I could probably look through this first, right? We got the Angry Mob. I've only seen 1 recruit a witch, so I think there's maybe even 2. There might even be 2 recruit a witch in there, or at least 1, because I think there's 2 recruit a witches. And now we don't know much about Cornelius. And he is at 1 persuasion. So getting this 5 persuasion on him is going to be really important. And then we'll need to see if we can do this sort of destroy the skeletons in the cemetery. We might not be able to. We'll have to see. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. And let's draw. We get exactly 5 cards here. Phyllis. And we've got 2 curses. Whew. Okay, what do we have in our discard? We've got Tancred, Sullivan. I can only really do 10 here. Now, what I could do is, this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I could take the risk on that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I was trying to think if I could take the loss on the not chosen Banshee and then sort of like go for a like last stand Tancred synergy with 3 Tancreds. But that looks a little tricky to do. I would end up revealing Phyllis. It still might be the best move. This would be 2 discards, 3 discards. And I could get rid of a curse, which would mean that I'm more likely to draw good cards. But I would lose a persuasion on everything, so if that's a 6 or that's a 6, then those ones would fail. The other option here is I go here. I've got 4 to play. I've got kind of just a wiggle room of 4. If a village card is there, I would have to take that. If there is, skeletons, I'd have to overcome those. It just feels really risky with 5 there. But I did have a good feeling about these top 2 after looking through all the deck. Very risky. Either which way you go. So let's say I reveal all these, they're all gone. I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is exactly enough. But I would be able to discard 1, 2, 3 missions. So is that much better than having 4 power to play? Yes, it is. It definitely is. It definitely is. But I think, yeah, being able to discard 3 things means that, I think that's just the better play, right? Okay. And we will be guaranteed to draw all 3 of these next round. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to reveal everything. 10 power. Okay? That discards a curse to the curse deck. We're going to choose this mission. Do not include hidden witches when totaling your power. I have no hidden witches. All right? So that's done. We've got 10. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which could we don't want to gain a curse. We are just 1 off. It's this plague rats here that we moved over here. If we had moved it over here, we'd be sitting we'd be sitting gorgeous. Now, I can make up for this duendes by giving 1 persuasion to Elizabeth or Ichabod. So I think I feel okay. So we're going to do everything here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can't do this, unfortunately. We're 1 off. So every person loses 1. And I'm only going to add... Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I'm only going to add 5 here. So I really think I actually... So I fail that. I succeed at this. I'm going to add 1 here. I'm basically saying, you know what? That's not a 6. That's not a 6. I'm not afraid. But Cornelius is the guy I need to convince. All of you go to jail. 1 curse. I've got my 5 cards in the final round. I've already resolved this. And we only have 1 mission left. We're not going to... Look at that. Double recruit a witch. I was right. The black cat, of course. And we have ourselves a relatively easy shot here. 2 curses. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 power, and we discard 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, discard, 3, and with 6 we overcome this. Marie Tancred, the only person who's still never got found. 5 puts this at 6, and it is time to go to trial. So that is what remains in our coven. A 5, not a 6. A 3, also not a 6. And the last 2 here to determine whether we got the win or not is a 1, and as long as it's not a 6. And that is a win on the hardest difficulty. As you can see, there's a lot of thought that needs to go into that to be able to achieve that. It's not something that can be achieved lightly. There's quite a bit to consider. But it was great to be able to show the win on a recorded session. So hopefully you learned a lot. If you have any questions, please throw them down in the comments, and I'd be happy to answer them. Good luck in your next games. See ya.